Hello and welcome to Granada Reports.
Hello. On the programme this evening.
The man forced to extract 11 of his own teeth as more people in the northwest are forced to turn to DIY dentistry. Can a cash injection from the government help?
I tried phoning every month dentists on the list for National Health and had no response at all. So I didn't have an option.
Of all the weeks to say that, when Brianna's mother is in this chamber, shame.
The Prime Minister is under fire for a transgender comment made during PMQs when Esther Jai was there campaigning in her daughter's memory.
The mesmerising theatre production heading back to the stage after a 5-year absence.
And after a quiet day today, winter makes a return tomorrow. Weather warnings in place and some significant snowfall on the way for some of us. I'll have all the details in the forecast later.
Well, first tonight, the chronic shortage of NHS dentists. It's been revealed 50% of practices in the northwest are now refusing to take on NHS work.
In one of the most extreme cases, a man in Liverpool pulled out 11 of his own teeth because he couldn't find a dentist. There are also cases of people being admitted to A&E with life-threatening infections and children with very serious decay.
Well, in an effort to help, the government says it will now pay a dentist £20,000 to work in a community where there's a shortage. But already it's a scheme under attack for being too little, too late. Emma Sweeney reports.
For 4 years, George Glynost had very little to smile about. Left without access to an NHS dentist, he's one of many thousands who've resorted to DIY tactics.
This is my jar of my famous teeth that I pulled out myself, 11 of them, because I never had a dentist.
How did you pull out 11 of your own teeth?
With a lot of pain and a pair of pliers.
You must have been at such a low point to decide that actually taking your own teeth out with pliers was a better option than leaving them in because you didn't have a dentist.
Yeah, I suppose I must have been. There's no option. I tried phoning every month dentists on the list for National Health and had no response at all.
The 68-year-old father of one finally did find an NHS dentist and he now has dentures. But he struggled with the ones on the bottom of his mouth, so he only uses those on top.
I'm still at the table 5-10 minutes after everyone else has finished because I only have one tooth on the bottom and it takes me forever to chew anything. Half the stuff you swallow in big lumps.
Experts have long insisted that dentistry in the NHS is facing a slow death. Recent figures from the Labour Party show that 77% of surgeries in our region are not accepting any new adult patients. Over 50% are not accepting any new patients at all. But today the government announced it had a £200 million plan to address the crisis. It says it'll create a further 2.5 million appointments across the country over the next year and aims to attract more dentists to work in underserved areas through the use of cash incentives.
We want more dentists to either come back to the NHS fold or to start afresh. And that's why our work on the new patient premium, but also our work to improve the rate of units that dentists are paid for, as well as golden hellos to new dentists to set them up, this will all help stimulate the NHS market.
But today the British Dentists Association said the plan was incapable of even beginning to restore NHS dentistry, while others say it is a temporary filling at best.
I mean, looking at the report, it's wonderful and it's welcome that we've got this extra money available for NHS dentistry. But for me to transition back from a private setting to an NHS one isn't really feasible under these circumstances. You'd have to rechange the whole model in order to do that and pay the dentist more on a fee-for-item basis than on a contract basis.
But while some are sceptical, others say the plans will help to improve the overall landscape. For the likes of George, today's announcement does little to numb the pain of the last 4 years. Emma Sweeney, ITV News, Liverpool.
Well, next tonight, Brianna Jai's mother Esther's been in Parliament today. She set up a mental health campaign in memory of her daughter and wanted to take it right to the top. It meant that she was in the House of Commons gallery when Rishi Sunak made a jibe about transgender rights.
Well, the Prime Minister was asked to apologise by Labour, but didn't. Live now to our political correspondent, Andrew Misra. And these aren't the headlines Esther Jai would have been looking for today after such a harrowing week.
Exactly, Gamal. It was only on Friday that Brianna Ghey's killers were sentenced to life in prison. Today, Brianna's mum, Esther, was down in Westminster to try to secure a positive legacy for her daughter, who was transgender. But before her campaign was even debated here, she found herself at the centre of an angry exchange at the start of Prime Minister's questions between Rishi Sunak and the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer.
It's a bit rich, Mr. Speaker, to hear about promises from someone who's broken every single promise he was elected on. Pensions, planning, peerages, public sector pay, tuition fees, childcare, second referendums, defining a woman. Although in fairness, that was only 99% of a U-turn.
Of all the weeks to say that, when Brianna's mother is in this chamber, shame, parading as a man of integrity when he's got absolutely no responsibility.
Well, the Prime Minister was asked to apologise. He didn't, but did later pay tribute to Esther Jai. But tonight, 10 Downing Street still refusing to back down from the Prime Minister's comments. Back to the reason, though, that Esther Jai was here in Westminster today, that debate led by her local MP on the Peace in Mind campaign, which wants to try to improve mental health support for school children. It's already raised more than £50,000 to train school teachers in Warrington on mindfulness. That means teaching children to better manage their negative emotions. Now, though, they want to try and turn that into a national policy.
We want to promote empathy, compassion and kindness throughout society, and I hope today's debate brings us one step closer to achieving this, with a modest, evidence-based ask to put mindfulness onto the national curriculum for the benefit of pupils, staff and our country.
So despite today being slightly overshadowed by events in the Commons earlier, some progress tonight, it seems, to securing that positive legacy for Brianna ahead of the 1-year anniversary of her death on Sunday.
OK, Andrew, many thanks indeed.
Well, now it's the shocking story of a man from Hayward who died after he choked on a sensory toy, a toy that's aimed at people with learning disabilities.
This is Louis Rawlinson. He was 27 when a ball became lodged in his throat last summer.
His mother is now calling for clearer warnings on these toys. She's determined it doesn't happen to another family. Tim Scott went to meet her.
He was full of life, proper character, full of personality, wicked sense of humour, and was loved by everybody he met. He was just an absolute gem.
Louis Rawlinson was 27 years old when he died last year. Severely disabled with learning disabilities, Louis swallowed, then choked on a sensory ball at his day centre. He went into cardiac arrest, suffering severe brain damage, and passed away in hospital 6 days later.
It was really, really hard. I think if it was part of his conditions, it probably wouldn't have been as hard, because he'd gone to day centre perfectly happy on that Wednesday morning. And then 6 days later, we'd lost him. That's been hard to get over.
Sensory balls like the one Louis choked on are widely used to stimulate people with a range of conditions. They're made by many manufacturers, but once swallowed, they can work their way down the throat. It meant medical staff failed to find the ball Louis had swallowed until it was too late.
You get some of them where they've got like a solid shell. Now, if that had gone in his mouth, they'd have found that straight away because it had just sat in his mouth. It wouldn't have gone down, it was too big.
Andrea demonstrated how dangerous the balls can be.
So it doesn't look very much, but as soon as you do that, it becomes a tube, because the throat is it's a big strong muscle, and it's just going to keep pushing it down, and it's going to stay at that shape.
And keep moving downwards.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Lou.
And that's what happened to Lou.
Andrea is now campaigning to get more safety warnings put on the sensory balls.
If you've got on it and the only warning is it's non-toxic, your automatic thing is, well, if they put it in the mouth, it's all right because it's not toxic material. Well, yeah, that's fine, but it's a choking hazard. Yes. If it saves one life, if it saves 2 lives, that's amazing. To think that unfortunately Lou's legacy was after he'd gone, that he's had to make a difference.
Tim Scott, ITV News, Haywood.
And our thanks to Andrea for talking to us about that.
Well, next tonight, when Bernard Morgan landed on the beaches of Normandy in 1944, he was the youngest RAF sergeant there, aged just 20.
Yeah, what a debt we owe them. Well, today is the D-Day veterans' 100th birthday. A very happy birthday to you, Bernard, from all of us at Granada Reports. And quite rightly, there was a special celebration for him at his care home in Crewe, as Anne O'Connor reports.
A salute and a service personnel guard of honour to mark Bernard Morgan's 100th birthday.
I never expected all this.
Aged 20 in 1944, Bernard was the youngest RAF sergeant to land on Normandy's beaches for the largest seaborne invasion in military history.
The dawn of June the 6th comes up like thunder over the invasion coast. The softening up of the German defences along a broad stretch of coast.
Fantastic, well done. Congratulations.
It is all a long way from today's celebrations at the Elms Care Home where he lives in Crewe. But Bernard never forgets his days as a frontline code breaker or the friends he lost at D-Day.
How frightening was it?
Very frightening. I tell the truth, I was frightened to death. I was sat there with this Bren gun. I knew how to operate it. But when I saw the other landing craft going up in smoke, I was very frightened.
So how do you feel now when people call you a war hero?
I tell them that's not true.
It is.
Because the lads who were the heroes are the ones who gave their lives. The sailors, the soldiers, the airmen, the airwomen and the civilians who gave their lives for the freedom that we enjoy today.
Bernard wants to get to Normandy this summer to mark the 80th anniversary of D-Day.
Dad always wants future generations to remember, but reconciliation as well is important to him. But he's a total inspiration to our family, and we cannot thank him enough for his service and the service of others.
He's still telling the story of the friends that he lost back then. And we've got to keep this story going. Bernard loves to go into schools, talk to the children, tell his story. And I've been in the schools with Bernard, and the children love to hear his stories, so he's keeping it alive.
He's had 100 reasons to celebrate, not least a shirt marking his centenary from his beloved Crewe Alexandra. Anne O'Connor, ITV News, Crewe.
Yes, so well deserved. Look at all those medals.
Many happy returns, Bernard.
Absolutely. OK, let's move on to football now. Since Mickey Mellon took charge at Oldham Athletic, they have risen from struggling in the National League's mid-table to pushing for promotion.
But what is equally impressive is Mickey's performance in the classroom. He's been combining football management with teaching leadership in schools. Chris Hall went to Ed Start School in Salford to see him in action.
Mickey Mellon knows about leadership. He steered 3 different clubs to promotion, including twice at both Fleetwood and Tranmere. Now he's planning the same for Oldham Athletic, while also promoting the confidence and resilience of school children across the North West.
So teamwork, what qualities of being in a team do you think help at school?
What were you like at school?
I'm smiling there because my teacher's seen me now. They couldn't get out the door quick enough to go and play football. I like school. I like the camaraderie and the togetherness and all the qualities. So I enjoyed school.
That's what you're trying to get across.
And that's what I'm just speaking there about resilience with one of the children. They went and they understand that sometimes you just got to dig in and do things that you don't necessarily like doing, but you have to just get on with it.
Mickey works with 9 Ed Start schools, giving lessons in leadership to teachers and passing on life skills to pupils with either special educational needs or those disengaged from mainstream education.
I loved it right away. It can be a volatile, unpredictable place at times. They just learn differently. They need They need different types of support. It might be one-to-one or just a different environment. We help to create the environment that these children need in order to be brilliant 16-year-olds. Do you play football?
A bit, yeah.
All the qualities that you learn in football, discipline and teamwork, team spirit, togetherness.
It's just really nice to kind of have someone to talk to. Because in mainstream, sometimes the teachers are kind of busy.
Yeah, mainstream, it was like more people, teachers, more strict and everything. But here, the teachers here realised that they were kids too.
To be honest, I was a mess. And then I came down here and I changed into a completely new, different person. And every time he comes in, I'm like, Mickey! Because he always comes outside, plays football with me.
Teaching is the stuff that you learn in football, do you know what I mean? Like, you understand that sometimes, even if you don't want to work with certain people, you have to, because it's good for everyone else.
We work with young people that are finding mainstream schooling very difficult, who may have autism, ADHD, lower levels of literacy and numeracy. I didn't know I needed a Mickey Mellon till I met Mickey Mellon, and then it was quite clear that the skill set he had was something that could benefit all of our leaders and trickle down to our pupils as well.
Well, Mickey's teachings are also having a big impact on these players. Oldham Athletic were struggling until Mickey came in October. He has changed results so much that they have pushed up towards the top of the class in the National League, and Oldham Athletic fans can now dream of getting back into the Football League next term. Are you finding that what you're doing with the teaching is actually helping you to build relationships with your players here?
Yeah, absolutely, because you're learning all the time. When you get to know the mental needs that people have when you're speaking to players now, yeah, you're much more considerate. And when you're giving a message to somebody or you're asking somebody to do an instruction for you, you have to make sure that they understand that, and you have to really work hard at getting to know the different types of learning needs.
For his own role model, Mickey can look to his chairman. 73-year-old Frank Rothwell is rowing 3,000 miles across the Atlantic for Alzheimer's Research UK. With such leaders to inspire them, these pupils and players are both finding results are on the way up. Chris Hall, ITV News.
Good work.
Next, it was a theatrical hit across the world, and now after a 5-year absence is heading back to a stage near you on a UK tour.
It is an incredible production. War Horse tells the moving story of a boy and his horse in the First World War. The writer who created their wonderful bond is the hugely popular Michael Morpurgo.
Well, he joined the stage version of The Horse of the Lowry in Salford, where the tour kicks off. Claire Hannah went to meet him.
I don't know why you're treading so heavily. You haven't done any work today at all. I've done all the work.
Trotting into the Lowry, Joey the Warhorse, with the man who created him. But when Michael Morpurgo wrote the book in 1982, it sold just 700 copies. Things changed in 2007, though, when it was made into a stage show.
I feel like I should have some polo mitts. Oh, doesn't like
You went
me.
by to promise. I thought it was nonsense. I didn't think how you could put a pantomime horse, and that's how most people think of a horse on the stage, in a story about the First World War. I was wrong, completely stupid of me. But I could not see how you could make the transition from a really serious, dark subject in many, many ways. But I hadn't seen the puppeteers work.
And it is that which makes people take Joey to heart. You know it's not a real horse, but on stage and even up close, you believe it.
He is operated by 3 puppeteers. So on the front here, we've got a head puppeteer who operates obviously the head, and the emotional indicator there are the ears, so we can tell exactly what Joey's thinking and feeling. If he's a little bit scared, those ears go back, he looks very, very nervous. If he's very relaxed and calm and wants to sniff my hand, his ears come forwards and he's a lot more relaxed.
There are 4 teams of puppeteers which rotate, but try and speak to them at your peril.
I remember a certain person coming up to this horse, this is true, and do you stop listening? And she was called the Queen. And the Queen was stroking the horse, and I think tried to talk to a puppeteer. They don't reply, even to a queen.
Even though Warhorse is set in the First World War, Michael says it's still as relevant now as ever.
It's just so important that we get over this business of thinking people who are not like us are our enemies.
Just going back to this, how... Oh, I can see out of the corner of my eye, Joey.
Oh, hello you. Hello, do you want to join the conversation here, or are you just being shy?
Warhorse will be back at the Lowry in September, but left this morning with a bit of a flourish.
Joey, I think what happens is that I've got a lady here who wants you to do a bit of a, show-off thing. So if I try to get you to do it, I guess you'll be obstinate, well, you might think, but we'll try. Are you ready? Okay. Right, Joey. Way up, Joey! Yeah.
Wow!
That's terrific.
That's amazing.
That's terrific. No, thank you so much, Joey. Thank you so much. Yeah. I've got anything for you, so just love.
Yeah, we all love Joey. I saw that at the Liverpool Empire. Absolutely astonishing production.
Yeah, fantastic. Looks like the temperatures are about to take a dive. Here's Joe.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. Good evening. Yes, plenty of unsettled weather to come tomorrow. After a frosty, dry night tonight, a mixture of rain, sleet and snow works its way up across the northwest from quite early on tomorrow morning, and it is going to mean snow in places during the day and some accumulations for some of us. As that low pressure, a frontal system and mild air moves up across the country and meets cold air for the northwest of England, there is likely to be significant disruption with snowfall both at higher and lower levels. Gradually that rain taking control as the mild air dominates by the end of the day. But back to tonight, it's dry, clear. There's a few mist and fog patches, perhaps a touch of frost in towns and cities, and below -1, -2 in rural spots tonight. Very light winds, and as you can see, pushing up from Wales and the Midlands by the end of the night, that snow beginning to move in. The sun will be up tomorrow at 7:45 and sets at 5:06. Quite quickly tomorrow things turn unsettled and wintry with some difficult snowy conditions for parts of Cheshire. Later on in the afternoon, Peak District, Pennine areas, Lakeland Fells will have a good deal of snowfall to contend with. Elsewhere, at lower levels, it's a mixture of rain, sleet and snow, but no doubt driving conditions will be difficult for all of us with a widespread yellow warning in place from the Met Office. And as you can see here, an amber warning on those Trans-Pennine routes during tomorrow afternoon. Don't travel unless you absolutely have to. By the end of the day, certainly reverting back to rain for all of us, and the outlook a little milder as we end the week. Take care over the next 24 hours.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
You have been warned. Go to our website if you want to find out which former pop group is looking to be the face of Chorley Football Club.
Yeah, they're heading to watch a game this weekend, no matter what. That's on the website.
I think I know which one. Good night.
Bye-bye.